Weird Occurrences in My Home Part 1. Posted by you/the corner of Gray ST. I have had a lot of people asking me about my family's funeral home that I live in and if anything scary has happened. I actually have a lot of stories. This house is definitely haunted, but I think it has more to do with the house's history. It was a very large boarding house before my dad bought it. There are a lot of doors because of that, and my bedroom door even still has a number on it from when it was. I have so many stories I don't even know where to start. A lot of them revolved around my older daughter, who seemed to be the focus of a lot of activity. I'll start with one more recent one. One day we heard a crash above us from the attic that sounded like a piano being dropped. My husband was bathing our child, so I got my dad, who was working, and we went upstairs. When we got up there, we didn't see anything that fell. We did however find a wooden plank that was nailed in the middle, the size of a street sign. On the plank there were initials written in fresh chalk. Never had seen it before, and neither had my dad. That was one of the very first incidents. So last year I was pregnant and having a new baby in December, and I had been scouring the attic for my newborn clothes from my first. I was up there 2 days prior searching all over, including this spot. I went out that afternoon and sent my husband up there to find stuff, and when I got home, I went up to talk to him and he showed me this handmade wooden cross thing hanging from the board with the initials on it from a dog leash. I was so freaked out because I know for a fact that it was not there the other day. I would have hit my head on it. I texted my brother, who works at the funeral home, if he had been up there. Only entrance to the attic is in my apartment, and he insisted that he had not been up there, but that he did make the cross out of Lincoln logs when he was a kid. So I knew who made it, but we had no idea why it was all of a sudden hanging there in plain sight. My husband really thought someone was messing with us, or I just didn't see it the other day, but there is no way in hell I didn't see it hanging at eye level. He took it down and swung it back over. It was dangling down. My brother is freaked out now too because he made the cross, but he didn't attach the dog leash, and we don't even have a dog. The leash was most likely from my brother's GF dog when they lived there, but I had never even seen it. It was so creepy and I never figured out what it was. Picture of the cross. Edit. I forgot to add an important fact. Before it was a boarding house, it was a large home for a family that was really wealthy. My dad told me their name, but I forget ATM. But they had several kids, and the maid's quarter was in the attic. The crazy part is the chalk initials were all the same second letter initial with different first names. That was pretty wild. Weird Happenings in My Home Part 2. So a lot of my paranormal experiences have involved my daughter, who is now 7. It slowed down a lot for a few years, but actually started up again a lot more when I was pregnant with my second last year. But there were several really creepy things my daughter has said. These are all from when she was between 2 and 3 because she was talking but still very young. One night I was sitting on her bed tucking her in. We had the lights out but a pretty bright nightlight, and I was singing to her like I do every single night. All of a sudden she pulls the blanket up to her face and had a weird look. She then says to me, "Mommy, the man said to stop singing." I was thinking, what? She was now hiding under the covers and was actually really scared. So I said, "Who said that, baby?" And she pointed over and said, "The man over there doesn't like it." I'm not gonna lie, I'm totally embarrassed that I'm a shit mom apparently, but I tucked her in and left real quick lol. I felt bad, but I wasn't gonna scare her more. She was okay when I left. She has said so many weird things. Once she said to me, "My friend Ida comes to visit me at night. She has long black hair and black dress and black shoes." I asked her, "Oh really, does she live here or just come to visit?" And she said she just comes in to visit her. She was not even 3 and I had never spoken of anyone named Ida ever. Another time she told me there was an owl in her closet at night that made noise, and also told me that her little birdhouse that she had hanging in her room had someone in it that talked to her. There was a time at my parents' house, we were sitting at the dinner table and it's in an alcove type area with windows all around facing just all woods. All of a sudden she stops in her high chair and gets super serious and says, "Shh. Everyone be quiet. There is a ghost in the trees," and pointed outside. It was terrifying. She was always talking to someone in her room and always saying weird things that she shouldn't know. The craziest one will be in part 3 with a picture attached. Edit. My daughter is also most likely very special in her connection with the other side. She has said some intense stuff over the years. She said, "Mommy, this is the lifetime I have always wanted here with you and Daddy." She also told me, and still talks about it, "Mommy, did you know me and you have an invisible line connecting us? You and Juliet have one too," referring to my 6-month-old. I asked her how she knew it and she has said, "I just remember and I have seen it a few times but can't anymore. But I know it's there." It really gave me chills. Since the day she was born we always knew there was something about her. She was just such an empath and an old soul from the very start. Weird Happenings in My Home Part 3. My daughter in her crib on the left standing. The picture I included is probably the creepiest incident that has happened. Now I want to be clear, even though my house is definitely haunted, I don't feel threatened. It's just there. My husband and I to this day feel ice cold movement that comes and goes. We hear banging at night, we hear voices, we have had things go missing. I'll be in bed and think that someone came in when they didn't, or something will hit the bed when I'm alone. We also have a ghost cat who jumps on our bed and has even touched us. But this happened about 6 years ago. My daughter was supposed to be napping. She was in her crib and I was laying down in my bedroom with a video baby monitor. I kept checking it because she was unusually riled up and talking and laughing and just wouldn't go to sleep. But she wasn't crying, at least, so I let her be. A few minutes later I picked up the monitor to check, and when I picked it up I thought she was sitting on the right side of the crib, then a second later I realized that she is standing to the left. So WTF is that sitting on the right? It was clearly a baby. I watched it on the monitor. It moved its head a few times, which scared the shit out of me. I took a picture of the screen for proof, thank God, and you can see what I caught. I went in a few minutes later after calming down, and she was laying down. There were no stuffed animals of any kind in there. I checked. There was not a cross connection with another monitor because it's one that had absolutely no internet hookup. Just a camera and a hand screen. It was so insane. I actually had a ghost hunting group ask to come to my house, but I declined because I really didn't want to know, and or make it worse. It wasn't hurting anyone, at least. Interesting enough too, my dad said that the people who lived here before it became a boarding house was a family that had several kids. And apparently they had maids who lived in the attic. Just so many crazy things that have happened, but this one was so scary. The Revenge, posted by u/fewestbassoon221. Disclaimer: this incident is not experienced by me, but many people that I know experienced it, so I thought I should share it. My grandparents live in a village which has been there for around 200 years. We actually have a big house, more like a small castle, which was made around the time when the village was established by my ancestor. He used to work under the king at that time. It is around 10 kilometers away from the city where I live with my parents right now. This incident was experienced by my grandpa when he was around 17 to 18 years old. He said that it started first at their house when one day the kitchen suddenly caught fire. Luckily people saw it early and hence it was extinguished. Everyone thought that it was by someone's mistake. But then around 2 to 3 days later, when my grandpa and his elder sister were sitting in the room and suddenly a small carpet on the floor started burning, even thought there was nothing there which could have caused it. They both extinguished the fire but were terrified by that. The weird thing was that it didn't just happen at our house, it started happening in the other houses as well. After a few days, one night my grandpa's sister was walking on the terrace. She used to walk for some time after having dinner. She suddenly fell on the terrace itself. She suffered some bruises. She told my grandpa that it felt like as if someone pushed her. The burning of different things still continued every few days in different houses. We had an oak tree outside the house and it was really big. One evening when my grandpa was sitting outside his room, it was on the second floor and had an open area outside, he felt as if someone was watching him. He turned his head towards the oak tree and a chill went down his spine. He saw a man was sitting on the tree and was watching him constantly with an evil grin on his face, but it was just the start. Suddenly his eyes went all white and his grin started growing bigger to an inhuman extent. My grandpa couldn't move or shout, he was frozen, so he just closed his eyes and prayed. When he opened his eyes, that man was not there, but the part of the tree branch looked like as if it was burnt. But it was such a terrifying incident. But the most terrifying thing is that my grandpa recognized him. That man was a thief and murderer who used to live in the village, but then was caught and found guilty by the villagers. He was then sent to jail, but he died there in a fire incident. As soon as my grandpa recognized him, he told about this to his father. He was the one who caught that man, and other villagers, and they believed him, as everyone was experiencing the burning of things. Then everyone decided to burn down the house of that man, which was the last remaining thing in the village attached to him. So all of them went there and lit that house in fire. But just after a few moments, all of the villagers who were there, a humanly figure standing in the flames, facing towards them for a few moments and then disappeared. After that, no burning or any kind of supernatural things were experienced in the village. I have talked to about 4 to 5 old people about this and they told me this story too, so I guess it might be true. Anyways, thanks for reading. Heard my dad talking and he wasn't home. Posted by u/Yuri. Sorry if this isn't the right place to post this. It's not really ghost related, just strange. My dad's bedroom is right next to mine, so if I walk past I can hear whatever he is doing. Now mind you, I saw his car wasn't in the driveway when I got home. So I was walking into my room and heard him say, "Yeah, she's always doing that." He was saying other stuff, couldn't make it out. My mind didn't even register that he wasn't home. I was about to knock on the door and ask what he wanted for dinner, but I didn't want to bother him. Anyways, I about to get in the shower until I heard the doorbell ring. It was fucking him. I'm like, weren't you just in your room on the phone? He was like, no, I left an hour ago. It was his voice, clear as day. Sometimes I see like a shadow going into his room when he has the door open. Like 3 months ago I had a dream 2 days in a row that this man was attached, like following him. I don't know if this connected or not. I feel like I might have let something in. I'm always reading about ghosts and demons and rituals and stuff. One time I even got something on me from reading a ritual. So yay, what you guys think about it? I didn't mean for this to be that long, lol.
Thanks for watching. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe for more videos.